Hey, we're very happy to have back Szilvia Juhasz, a.k.a. Exil.
Yep.
Happy to have her back every time. It's a popular segment. Certainly she's a friend of the show, was here for our first episode, and been here quite a bit ever since. We talked with her quite a bit at the PASS conference, gosh, I want to say 6 weeks or so ago there. And, man, I was excited to see the status of how her book was coming along. And as we were sitting there, maybe having a cocktail or two, Szilvia brought out was a lot of really cool stuff related to a book that she's writing. So, Szilvia, would you mind sharing that with everybody and talking a bit about that?
I would, Rick. So, as you were saying, yes, I am involved in a Excel cocktail book, and to be honest, I get a lot of glazed over looks on people's faces when I mention, you're writing hey, I'm writing a book on Excel cocktails, and people kind of go, oh. Even the photographers, when we did our photo shoot, they kind of took them a couple hours until they went, oh, I get it. It's like if we did Photoshop-themed cocktails. So it's one of those kind of things that takes a while, unless you're a hardcore Excel nerd like many of the millions of viewers of this program. So what I thought I would do is just kind of clarify what's going on with the book, when you will get to see it, and some other surprises you may not have heard of, and also we are going to actually take this time to reveal the actual cocktails with a little more information about the recipes. Tonight, for me, is sponsored by well, not a broken link, but it's a modified broken link. The broken link is one of the cocktails in our book. But without further ado, let me do a little screen share here, and let's see, share that. Okay, so can you all see a PowerPoint slide there?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so here is my authorship progress update. Yours truly is finally releasing some books, plural. Notice I said plural, because all great things happen in partnerships, I believe. So a guy that might ring a bell for some of your viewers, Bill Jelen, Mr. Excel, has been writing this Excel 40, the 40 greatest Excel tips of all time, and yours truly is involved in that project in two capacities. Initially just the cocktail book alone, and now I'm also involved in co-authoring the greatest Excel tips of all time. And if we have time on the show, we can talk a little bit about that process and how that's going. But that's the newer part of this whole story. So I'm very pleased to tell you guys that September 2015, just in time for Excel's 30th birthday, is when we aim to release these books. So of course, the main production, Mr. Excel's 40 greatest Excel tips of all time, now also co-authored by yours truly, and of course, if you didn't know this fun little fact of where those of you who contributed to the crowdfunding thing that Bill put together, you may have been wondering where the cover, thank you guys. You guys helped pay some of my residuals, I guess. Where did this cover design come from? I did not realize this until I started working with Bill, but he was inspired by Rolling Stone 10th and 20th anniversary covers of Rolling Stone magazine. Bill's a rock and roll fan. He's from Cleveland. Hello, Cleveland. Hello, Spinal Tap. So that's kind of where the inspiration for the first cover design came from. Little fun fact behind the scenes. But now it's also coming with the Excel Lover's Guide to Cocktails. That is the working title of my book, which will be a co-release with Bill's and mine. So that's to kind of clarify any confusion about which book I'm really writing and how all of that works. So look for it on Amazon, September 2015. So just a little behind the scenes that I thought you guys might enjoy. I want to give a shout out to my friends at Berkelhagen Photography. They are based in Cleveland, and they are expert food photographers, and they did a wonderful job of photographing all of the cocktails that you will be seeing momentarily. Here's some behind the scenes from the actual photo shoot. You would not believe what it takes to just get some good photos of 12 Excel-inspired cocktails. So that was a really fun experience. It took about a day to shoot all 12 there, and fun. But some of you are sitting here going, okay, but what's really, seriously, how do you get from Excel to cocktails, and where did that idea, where did that inspiration come from? So what I can tell you about that is themed cocktails are already a thing in the world of mixology and bartending, right? We've got some Batman-themed cocktails here, right? We've got the video gamers. They got their own themed cocktails. You know, it just takes a couple Google searches, you're going to find some recipe blogs. Gamers have their own cocktails. Disney fans have their own cocktails. All the popular TV shows, Mad Men, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, all of those kind of cult television shows, they all have these themed cocktails that are developed by, you know, mixologists. So I thought to myself, seriously, I actually researched this. There are more Excel users than there are Walking Dead fans. So I thought, surely there's room in the world for some Excel-themed cocktails. So with that, the idea was born, and now you are going to be the first to actually see. All of the millions of Excel TV viewers around the world are going to now witness for the first time ever the 12 cocktails that will be, full recipes will be revealed in the book when it comes out in September, but here we go.
Wow, this is incredible. I just want to say this is only for our Excel TV VIP viewers. So.
All right, by Amy Winehouse. Though Amy Winehouse for your listening pleasure in the background. First up, we have a handful of Excel celebrity-inspired cocktails, starting with the Jitterbug Jelen. You guys may not be aware of this fun fact about Mr. Excel, but apparently once a week he goes ballroom dancing with his 92 years young dad, Robert. And so when he's not shaking his spreadsheet moneymaker, he's shaking it on the dance floor. And this Jitterbug Jelen, he has already tried himself. A little pomegranate, grenadine, rum, lime juice, and bitters. And it's a delicious, kind of summery, very refreshing cocktail there. Next up in the celebrity series, we have Chandoo's Condition. Now this one was named by Chandoo. He chose the name himself. And it is awesomely chocolatey. It's rum, chocolate syrup, cream, and emulsified egg. So if the egg part freaks you out, I don't know, maybe we'll leave that off of any cocktail menus we do for happy hours and whatnot. But it gives it that nice kind of creamy texture. Oz, you're trying to say something.
Yes, I have a question about how does this reflect Chandoo-ness?
How does it reflect us? Because what's not awesome about chocolate and rum? It's like a grown-up smoothie, you know, and so it's, and Chandoo came up with the name Chandoo's Condition. So with all of these cocktails, really what makes them Excel-inspired for the most part are the names, and the recipes themselves, again, which, you know, they'll be revealed in the book, are modern interpretations of classic recipes for the most part. So we've added a twist to some classic recipes, and then I matched them up with some names. I also interviewed each of the Excel celebrities that are featured in the book to find out a little bit more about their own personal, you know, tastes and drinks, and I kind of incorporated that into the recipes as well.
I'm more unsettled about the previous drink, the Jitterbug Jelen. I can't unknow that Jelen is dancing. I can't unknow that.
He goes ballroom dancing? Well, yeah, it was a surprise to me as well, but I thought it was pretty great. So, and he likes rum. Bill's a fan of rum. Right. So and he kind of, to my surprise, Bill kind of likes, you know, fruity, froofy rum cocktails, you know? Like, I'll order a martini and he'll have something pink and froth. It's quite hilarious.
I could have picked that. I pegged him for that. I would say, though, I could see Chandoo being creamy smooth. I think that's that's not the way. It's not the way I meant to say that. But right. I could see that. That's a good description. I'm not gonna lie.
Now I can't unhear that.
I met the guy. Can't edit that out.
Nope, no editing. All right, next up, again in the celebrity-inspired series, the original name for this recipe was the Bloody Alexander. However, Mike Alexander decided to change it to the Control B through a series of conversations. As you guys all know, Mike Alexander, hilarious guy. Had a lot of fun with him trying to come up with the best recipe for him. And naturally, it needed to include bacon. So the Control B, being a bold cocktail that it is a modern take on the classic Bloody Mary. But it's actually not like any Bloody Mary you've ever had before. It's bacon-infused bourbon. These are special recipes that you can make at home. Peppercorn, horseradish, tomato ice, and sadly I didn't list it on this PowerPoint here, but that salt rim is a sriracha salt rim, so you might enjoy this one. Control B, and that's a tomato ice cube that delicious bacon-infused bourbon is poured over. So you mash up some tomatoes, you strain them, you freeze them into these big ice cubes, and then that kind of melts very slowly. So there's no tomato juice in it per se. It's this lovely ice cube made of tomato water. All right, moving right along. Awesome. It is. Of course, I tasted all of them. It was very hard work, this project, because I had to taste test all of these, and I only had one day to do it. So it was a fun photo shoot the next day. This was a popular one at the Santa Clara conference. I was passing out coasters. Everybody was very excited about the Dax on the Beach. Vodka, lime, mango, a splash of lemon lime soda. Back to, they're a little out of order here. I didn't have a lot of advance notice of this show. But anyway, back to Excel celebrities again, the Dirty Gervin. So I couldn't leave out Mike Gervin of the 5 celebrities that are featured in the book. And when I asked him what he likes to drink, he said, cheap beer. And I was like, okay, I need a little more. Okay, cheap beer and a shot. Okay, so we went with cheap beer and a shot. So we've got a vanilla-infused espresso bourbon and basically whatever cheap beer you like. And that is apparently what Mike Gervin likes to drink. And we added the espresso because I thought, well, 2,500 Excel videos and counting, that guy doesn't get a lot of sleep. We better add some coffee into the mix here. So that's where the idea behind the espresso infusion came. And by the way, all these infusions, homemade. I should give a shout out right now to my mixologist, Mr. Eric Ho of Cleveland, Ohio, also. Former aerospace engineer turned mixologist, Excel geek. What perfect guy for the job, right? So he has all these crazy ideas, and he's a great guy, and you'll hear more about him in the book. But all of the infusions are homemade. And the lovely thing about that is you can make those in a batch. You're not going to make, for example, you're not going to infuse 2 ounces of bourbon, right? You're going to infuse, a decent bottle, so you can have it on your shelf, and it'll keep forever. It'll keep for a long time because the alcohol kills off anything that would make it go bad. So whether it's the bacon infusion or the vanilla espresso, all homemade stuff. These are craft recipes, people. Yeah. Like a well-crafted Excel model, they're going to take a little time to make. Some of them are going to be not as straightforward as the Dirty Gervin.
Well,
crack open a can of beer.
I will add that you do have to keep whatever you're infusing, you have to keep it under the liquid. If it gets above the liquid, then it can start to rot and mold.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely techniques that go with all of these recipes, particularly with the infusions. And, those kind of things, you can buy them in the store, Bill's first question to me when I sent him the recipe for the Jitterbug Jelen, where am I going to get these ingredients? So he wanted something that he could make out of the box, These are craft recipes. Some of them are simple, but some of them are going to take a little time, just like Excel, right?
Well, because you get that control, because you can add another layer of, if you want to infuse vanilla, you get to control how much vanilla.
Exactly. It's much nicer, and of course the homemade stuff is always going to be better because you're not going to have funny, artificial ingredients, and it's just going to taste better, Who wants fake bacon? RC, otherwise known as Rob Colley, gin man. He loves him some gin, particularly Hendrix. So for the RC columns, we went for a modern spin on kind of just like a gingery, lemony, refreshing summer drink there. So Rob gets the RC column. Excel, of course, as we mentioned earlier, turning 30 this year, so happy birthday, Excel. Classic software, deserves a classic recipe. Rum and Coke. It's a party drink. It's not that hard to make. The roasted lime, again, is a homemade brew, but you can also, if you want to, you could skimp and, just use regular lime, but it doesn't have the same kick that roasted lime juice will give you. You actually roast limes in the oven, and it gives it a really nice, little extra, almost a little dash of smokiness to that drink. Lovely rum and Coke, classic, classic, classic. All right, this is a Broken Link, sort of like a classic old man's drink. Your basic whiskey, vermouth, and bitters. And if you're a whiskey guy, you'll love the Broken Link. Little slice of orange there to go with it, give it a little bit of more of a brighter, fresher flavor. The Corrupted Formula. This has had about 3 different names. It was called the Sheet Stir, then it was called the Illegal Formula. It's the Corrupted Formula. The title may change again by the time the book is released. And so, actually, if anyone has any fantastic suggestions, feel free to tweet them with the hashtag #ExcelCocktails, and there's still time. If we love the title, we might find a way to work your idea into the book. But anyway, that's the Corrupted Formula: Gin, Cointreau, Lillet Blanc, Lemon, and Creme de Vette. And we've got a Sparkline Swizzle. Vodka and champagne, what could be wrong with that combination, I always say. One of my personal favorites, the Stacked Column Shot. It's tequila, it's a curacao, cinnamon, lemon, and orange juice, and a little bit of bitters. And there's definitely a technique involved with this one here to get that stacked column effect, just like when you're making a chart in Excel, right? So yeah, you got to hold the glass a certain way so that the colors don't bleed together. There's also it's also important to know which liquids to add first, so they stack on top of each other. They have different densities. So there's a whole art to making stacked column shots like this one. And we've supersized the shot, by the way, in the recipe book. All right, the Power Pivotini, where it all started. This was perhaps the first cocktail name I came up with. This one's Navy Strength Gin, lime juice, honey, elderflower liquor, egg whites, and bitters. And it is really delicious. None of these are sweet, even the ones that have, honey and maybe some syrups in them. I made sure that they were all, not too sweet, not too bitter, just the way I like them. But you got to try them. You got to try them all. Hopefully this summer we'll be having some. I know Bill's on tour. He's got a couple of tour dates in LA coming up in June. So look out on Twitter. We'll probably announce some happy hours where we'll hopefully feature one or more of these cocktails. And with that, I will mention that in addition to the book, we will have downloadable spreadsheets that will serve as templates for the Excel cocktail enthusiasts. So I'm working on some, and we may or may not have time to look at them today, but I'm working on some templates that will allow you to plan your Excel cocktail party. So you'll be able to pick the drinks you want, put in how many guests you have coming, and how many drinks you think they're going to drink. And it'll print out your shopping list and come up with your, the optimal quantities to purchase of all your ingredients. That turned out to be a little bit bigger of a project than I initially anticipated, but it's coming along. I was actually working on it today. Fun little quote that I found online, a cocktail journalist, yes, these things exist, at SeriousEats.com. Any self-respecting home bartender should have an Excel spreadsheet of favorite classic cocktail recipes. So I am putting together just that. It will include all the cocktails in the book and perhaps some more. And with that, I will conclude my lecture for the moment and turn it back to you, Rick.
So I'm guessing on those, on the grocery list, I saw a lot of, bitters? A lot of bacon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
That was awesome. I can't wait. I
you.
really want to try the Control B.
I like the way the stack column looked. It was all cool.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you. So, yeah, look for it in September, and hopefully time and budgets permitting, we'll have a few happy hours this summer, locations to be announced, maybe LA, maybe Cleveland. Anything could happen between now and September. So.
Right.
Control B, I love that. I can't wait. That's me. I'm a control. Don't I just say Control B?
You kind of do.
I say control. I look more like a Control Z. I get it, but it's a terrible joke.
Control B. All right.
I gotta tell you, it was quite entertaining whenever we, whenever we're at the past conference and you brought out, I guess maybe you didn't bring out the book, but you brought out, you were looking at coasters and different things like that, and what you said was exactly what happened, right? Because not everybody there was there for Excel, they were there for business analytics, which may or may not include Excel, depending on what the tool is, and people were like, "What? You're doing what? You're building what?" And then exactly like you said, they're like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, it's a slow sink in for most people, unless they're like a hardcore Excel nerd, and then they get it pretty quick, But it's one of those things where if you can just set aside that awkward feeling that you get when you're staring at someone who's like, "Huh?" and you just have to go, "I know this is a cool idea," and they'll either get it or they won't, And it's a glorious moment when they do get it, It's great.
So tell me, maybe this is a little bit for everybody then. As you looked at that, you looked at the bacon, and I was thinking about you quite a bit, Oz, there, about especially as you're talking about different layers and stuff. I'm reminded of every time that you talk about sriracha and how the vinegar is on top versus the bottom, etc. So are there, just kind of for the general group, are there particular foods that you think would go well with this sort of stuff? Stack foods. What do you think, Jordan?
Foods. That would pair well with any of those things. I think, let me think. I think with the Control B.
Breakfast. Hello.
Yeah, breakfast, but like a breakfast and a spreadsheet, right? So I'm like, I'm eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at a terrible spreadsheet that's just so frustrating at that moment. But I got the Control B with me, and I feel like I can handle it. That's it. I mean, that's how I feel. Little John Wayne. I don't know.
The Dirty Gervin, right? And the Dirty Gervin was every professor that I've known, for the most part. Mike Gervin's a professor, but pretty much any professor that I've known, particularly economics professors, have used beer, particularly cheap beer, as some sort of an example at some point in the semester. Whether it's the law of diminishing returns or whatever. So as I think about the Gervin and I think about the cheap beer, I think what would go well with that would be probably eggs.
Yeah.
And definitely wheat. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Beer, I'm not much of a beer drinker per se. I don't really drink beer as a cocktail, but if I'm eating, like hearty German food or something like that, sausages and that type of stuff, a beer actually tastes great. And with barbecue, but as a cocktail, it's not my thing. But all of these, they certainly have delightful things you can pair them with, and some foods will pair very nicely with certain cocktails. And that's a good point that you raised, Rick, because the blog that is finally happening, I will have these all up on a blog after the book is released, and then we will have, we'll have some tips about substitutions and things that they go well with, and because again, like his first thing was, well, where the hell am I going to find Angostura bitters, and these aren't, it's not an exact science, like Excel, it's like, hey, if I don't have the lookup, maybe I'll do an index match, you can substitute. So there's an art to these things, and we'll address all of those in the blog.
So I want to ask you, can you swing through real quick? Swing through them.
All of them?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're thinking. All right. Well, do you want me to screen share it again? Let me just rewind the PowerPoint. I can do that for you, Oz. Of course. All right, here we go. PowerPoint show. Share my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we've got the Jitterbug Jelen.
Right.
And we've got Chandoo's condition. And the Control B, great for breakfast. Jack's on the beach, great for summer lovers. The Dirty Gervin, when you're up all night making Excel videos. The RC Columns. The Excel Libre, happy birthday Excel. The Broken Link for the crusty old pissed off Excel guy when he discovers all those broken links in his spreadsheets. The Corrupted Formula. The Sparkline Swizzle. A Stacked Column Shot. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the Power Pivot Teeny. And there you have it. That is the end of the 12 Excel-inspired cocktails.
So then,
I would be happy to share the photos with you guys if you want to put a link up there or whatever. We'll work it out backstage. But
so
here's be revealed.
There's
plenty more in the book, more surprises. So I'm happy to share this with the world now.
Okay. So I am thinking the Chandoo's condition.
Yeah.
With a nice.
Well, it's dessert. I mean, it's dessert on its own.
Well, I'm just okay.
Okay.
This is what I'm thinking here. A nice Maduro, El Rico Habano, maybe, or maybe sun-grown Fuente. That would go well. The Maduro cigar would stand up to that chocolate and complement that dessert. Yeah, and you sit down, a room in the big leather chair with the huge TV.
Yeah.
And you sit down and have a cigar, and nothing else matters. And I can see that Chandoo condition fitting right in there.
It's whatever you like with chocolate. I thought you were talking cigars. I don't do the cigars. But yeah, if that's your thing, you know, and everybody, who doesn't love chocolate? You know?
I was thinking, because like I may have to do some more work tonight, and I was thinking the Dirty Gervin would be great. You know, do an espresso, bourbon shot, shotgun a cheap beer. I don't know that shotgunning is part of it. Or you could sip it nicely if you'd like a gentleman.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be great for tonight, you know?
Absolutely.
Perfect mix of my mood.
A Dirty Gervin.
Yeah. Yeah.